It's International Women's Day for 2023, and I'm so excited about the topic or the theme for this year, which is equality versus equity. And I believe there's so much to unpack when it comes to this topic. I mean, I'm excited about the versus, about equality versus equity. I mean, just trying to see which one is better, which one should we lean on more than the other. And for me, coming here, I'm so excited to, talk about this with you guys, and which is one of the reasons why I want this purple talk, because it is representing women and also representing the International Women's Day. So I'm very excited about our conversation for today. So I'm going to start with Rachel. I mean, I want you to just, run us through how your career journey has been. Where did you start from, and where are you at the moment? I know that you have a lot of experience in marketing, and for me, being in marketing means that I'm going to use this opportunity to learn from you, and I know that there are a lot of people like me that are also going to learn from you. So I mean, just run me through what your career journey has been and how you've been able to navigate every part of your journey. So I'm listening.
Okay. Well, there's a very beautiful purple top as well. So I'll do the kind of the shortened version, because really on paper, I've just worked for two organisations. So both in financial services, the first one being a kind of fast growing scaling firm, and also a big global organisation, big blue chip financial services firm as well, both over 10 years at each. So, I mean, I left education at the age of 16, ultimate shame. So really what I've had to do is use my time throughout both jobs to get educated. And you know what, I found that getting educated in the context of my roles really motivated me to do that higher learning that, I wanted to do, but just without the purpose behind it at the beginning. It felt like I wasn't sure where it was taking me. So I've used that to get educated in the context of my role, and then take on really stretch roles, which is quite difficult sometimes. And particularly with women, we know that we like to do the role before we stretch to the next one. So to sometimes be a bit brave, take some stretch roles and try and carve my own career path throughout those two organisations. And so I think, that's just given me the opportunity within a smaller firm to be able to get involved in lots of stuff and learn. But then as a wider organisation, take different roles to learn as well as taking advantage of being able to do some higher education whilst I'm learning, which isn't everybody's cup of tea. It means lots of weekends not leaving the house, or lots of nights staying up late. But for me, that worked. And so today I lead an agile marketing squad. We deliver B2B marketing. And what I love is the real variety that I get to deliver, from marketing brand level through to kind of customer experience and service communications. And then not only from a communications perspective, but get involved in some really cool work around developing new marketing technologies or transforming the ways of working. So that variety means a lot to me.
Oh, that's really nice. I like your career journey. And I think one of the things I was able to pick was there was so much learning. For me, when I started my career as a social media manager, and I can tell you that I did like a lot of learning, because I knew that I didn't want to stop at social media management. I wasn't sure where I was going, but because I was interested in social media, I was interested in, helping businesses get visibility on social media. So I was doing a lot of learning. I was writing a lot of books. I was, taking a lot of courses, and I was interacting with a lot of people. I think learning is a major part of, I think marketing career growth. I mean, there's a lot of learning you have to do, learning from each organization you work with, learning your personal learning, and also even learning from industry leaders. And I think that is one of the things that have been able to help me to where I have been. So thank you for sharing your
Thank
experience,
you.
Rachel. Nelly, I know that you are a senior software engineer, and I've brushed a little through your experience. I know that you work as a technical product manager, as a project manager, and you're very much interested in helping startups scale. So I think you should just run us through what your career journey is. How has it been, and how have you been able to navigate it to where you are as a senior software engineer that you are at this point?
Thanks for the question. And definitely it was also very interesting to hear about Rachel's journey. And I also give a third vote in terms of the learning, because learning has been the one thing that underpins my careers, myself to where I am today. And in fact, when we look at the effort it takes to go into learning, one of the questions I always ask people is, how much are you prepared to pay to get to where you want to be? And that's a question I've asked myself throughout my career. I'm a software engineer by trade, and one of the reasons why I picked that is because really I don't like people. So there we go. I was very shy and introverted, and it took me a long way. Now, when I look at what I do now, working in leadership at startups and small businesses, helping them with digital transformation, any project that they are trying to take on and it's not really going really well, developing new products, all of these aspects of things, using my software background, of course, I don't do any more coding, but I use my software background to do that. It's very, very exciting. I call myself the Mary Poppins of startups for that reason, as I love to jump in an organization and says, what are your goals? Where are you stuck and how I can get you there? Now, what is interesting when you look at my career journey is that, of course, I never wanted to get into leadership. It's something that I avoided. In my opinion, leadership were the people who play golf when everybody else work. Then I realized it's actually so much more difficult in a way, because your job is to make sure that everybody works well together, which that challenge without even thinking about the strategical aspect of leadership is very difficult. And to answer the question on how I got there is that I've always had two careers. So there's the one that's a typical one on LinkedIn, where working for a big company, I work for similar industry software, and then working for a startup, and then I started my own business. But whilst I was doing that, I was always being involved in the community, joining different groups, putting myself out there, improving my leadership skills by running non-for-profit organization, and doing so many other things that develop my leadership skills, my training skills. And now I kind of take absolutely everything I've learned and I put it at the service of the people that I'm working with, and also for the community.
Oh, that is really nice. I see you mentioning a lot of leadership, and I think most of the questions I'm going to be asking today, I would be picking on you more because you're in the leadership space, and I also know that Rachel is also in the leadership space. So I'm very confident that the questions I have as regards equality and equity, I'm going to get fantastic replies from you guys. So I would be asking Rachel, what do you think being a woman in your career has impacted your career journey, and do you think it has embraced it has the roles you have gotten? Do you think you have gotten it because you are a woman, or you've gotten it because you were merited for it? You got some merit. I don't know if you got a question.
I have, yes, I have. Thank you.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
and I mean, clearly, I haven't had a very long career. Um, you can tell, but I'm joking. But I have been working for quite a long time, and I think over that time period is I've seen a real difference in a real shift towards women in the workplace. Now, financial services isn't kind of one of those predominantly male industries. It's been quite hierarchical, but it's not been predominantly male. So I think it's been quite easy for it to shift in the time frame that I've seen, where there aren't the kind of same preconceptions about kind of, what women will be interested in, the typical roles that they should be doing. And actually, and even down to, being involved in and invited into doing the kind of fantasy league areas. So I feel like it's generally been on the merit of being good at what I do and being able to back it up with the evidence of education and experience, why I've been able to get the roles that I've gotten. But I don't think that's the same across many industries.
Okay, thank you. Nelly, what about you? The roles you have embodied, have you gotten it because you merited it, or because some organizations would say, oh, we have a lot of male in this office, I think we need to have a female, just balance it up. I know a startup that have done that before. They didn't hire the person just because the person merited it, but because the person, just let's bring in a female into our workforce. And I know that a few persons do that, but in your career journey, do you think you have experienced something similar, that you were hired because you're a woman that is just contributing inclusion and making their workforce a diverse workforce, or because you were merited for the role?
I have to say, well, based on what I know, of course, it's not like they might tell you that, but I like to believe that the roles that I've got so far, the where I worked, has been on merit, and less so because I'm a woman. And I also would say that I'm
Okay.
privileged to have experienced the joy of working in male-dominated environments without ever asking myself whether, even in a conflict situation, whether it's because I'm a woman. And I think that's very important to me, and it's something that I cherish, because I've heard so many other stories from other people that have not have been as good as mine. Even from the day I first went into Siemens Industry Software, and I started growing, I started learning how to use my voice, which I think it's something that as women we might not always do. When I started building that confidence to ask for what I wanted, in terms of whether it was a promotion or whether it was a project that I really wanted, or whether I was looking at other men in the room that were much senior than I was, and put my idea forward on how we need to revamp a piece of software, they always listened and gave me the space to do that. And I think that was really important in my career. And the merit aspect is because one thing that I've always done is ask myself, what is it that we need as a team? And how can I help, even before getting the recognition or even before getting the role? And I guess that I landed into technical project management is only because I realized that we were building one of the biggest changes in terms of digital transformation, yet there was nobody overseeing what we were doing. And I was working with a team of people in the UK, in India, and in Cambridge. No manager really focusing on that. So I did the role, and then I went to my boss and said, can I take it on board? And even when I moved company and I went into a scale up that was growing very fast, the reason why they hired me was actually because of my experience at Siemens, and also because they saw how I transformed nonprofit organizations that I used to work after work hours for free. And I used to work on that, and I seen the big changes that I brought there. And even it's the first day after I was hired, they said, look, this is going to be a bit of a challenge for us. We have a difficult clients, but we know what you've done other places, and I want you to do it here. So in a way, yes, I believe I was always hired on merits. But there's always one thing I like to say. So this is not part of the question, but I really want to make this point, because there's so many young women out there, when they, assuming that they were hired based on a quota. One thing that a woman told me years and years ago, when I was still navigating my career, she said that the first time she was invited as as to be part of the board of directors, she was invited because she was a woman. So she didn't know until she got the role, and she was really excited. And when she found out, she felt a bit crushed, because being invited on the quota really, she felt a bit devalued. But one thing that she said that I never forget, that right now, whenever someone hired me for whatever quota they have, whatever it is, for diversity reasons, I always tell myself that what she says was, thanks for that role, but I'm now going to show you that I am the right woman for this role. And the next one I'm going to get is based on the work that I've done. So for me, I kind of got into a mindset where I don't really ask myself why they hired me. I believe in what I've done so far. And I know that the next one, I mean, once I get through the door, they'll be so happy that I'm there anyway.
Oh, I think I love the contribution of that woman, the comments of that woman. Thanks for hiring me for this role, but the next role I'll be getting to be based on merits. I think that really makes a lot of sense. Nelly, you have a lot of experience in the leadership space. You have led teams. You're part of the leadership of different organizations. So I would like to ask, what are the steps you think an organization can promote equality and equity in the workspace? And I think before that, I think we should explain what equality and equity means for you. Then you can then go ahead to give examples or steps how organizations can promote gender equality and equity in the workspace.
It's a very good question. For me, what it really means is that equality equity means kind of making sure that we are providing the same amount of opportunity to the individual. And when we are assessing individual, when you look at career progression, when we look at who we are and the way we work in our teams, we don't get blurred by other aspects. For example, in this case, in gender, whether I'm working with a woman, I'm not working with a man. Having said that, we also need to set up the organization in the way that we know that there are some trends and there are some behaviors, and we know that we want to increase the equality. What can we do to give those who might need a little bit of additional support some help so that they can grow? So, for example, whenever I work with people in my team and I identify young women that are very talented, but they struggle to talk or they struggle to speak up, and maybe they come to me and says, "Oh, I've got this great idea. Can you please share it at the next meeting?" And I says, "Great, but I'm not going to share it. I'm going to back what you said and I'm going to help you. But you have to be the voice speaking at the meeting because otherwise the idea is great. You might not believe in yourself. It's great that you came to me for the support, but then you have to make that step so that your voice can be heard throughout the organization. That's how people know you." A lot of people will say, "Oh, I've been passed on for promotion. Is it because I'm a woman, or is it because I'm introverted, or I don't talk?" But at the end of the day, some of the leaders that approve promotions, they might be so busy that if you don't shout out about your own improvement, it's not that they don't appreciate you. It's just they don't know what you've done, right? And that's one thing I always try to encourage whenever I work with people, especially as we talk about International Women's Day. When I talk with younger women, I really try to go and identify and look at that because I know how I was. The second thing I always say is that women need more opportunity. They need more opportunities and not just training. Because everybody's like, "Oh yeah, women need more training." I believe that everybody needs training, right? But what women need is to also have someone that can help them open the doors in the same way as it's happened traditionally and naturally for men. So, for example, in my career, I've been lucky that I love sports and I bonded with a lot of people in my company through playing tennis, for example. Yet when I got to a stage in my career, I loved where I was, but I didn't know how to go forward. I went to one of the senior guys, he used to be in product development, and I told him, "I want to move forward, but I don't even know how to approach my boss. Can I actually go to my boss and say, I want more challenge?" And I know it sounds really weird, but at the time I didn't even know you could just go to your boss and say, "I need to be challenged." And again, I needed that kind of permission, which now I know that other people need that permission. So I use my leadership roles to give them that permission. But for me, that person sat me down and we talked to the organization and he became my unofficial mentor. So what I always say is that, especially in male-dominated environments, I also see that male senior leaders also need to proactively offer some elements of mentorship and guidance to younger female or to younger female employees to help them drag them up just in case they might not have the confidence to go and knock on the door and says, "Look, I love working here, but I feel a bit lost. What do I do next?" So for me, those are the two key things. Helping identify people within my team that need a bit of boost or need to know that you have the permission to go where you are. Don't ask for it. Go and get it. And then the second thing is identify how I can be a mentor for the next generation of younger women and also push them towards men, because at the end of the day, it's still a male-dominated environment in tech, right? So have the confidence and knock on the door and say, this is where I am. How can I go forward?
Oh, that I think that's very very smart. When I was reading about equality and equity, I found that I got to understand that equity is basically giving someone the resource they need in order to catch up with others.
Exactly.
So I think I found an example. Okay, if someone is trying to, there are three people trying to watch football. Someone is 6'1", another is 5'0", and the other person is using a wheelchair. So what opportunity, what resource are you going to give to these three people in order for them to, watch this football from the fence? And you give the one that is 5'0" maybe a stool that would make them tall enough in order to see the football they want to watch, and the person on the wheelchair, you give them a resource that would make them watch the football. So I got to understand that in order to get equality in the workforce, there has to be equity, right? And I love that you mentioned that in order to drive equity and equality at the workspace, you have to put in mentorship for the younger ones in order to push them, in order to make them give them the right resources to be their best self and get what they want at the workforce. I really love that. And Rachel, is there anything you would like to add to this? I know you have a lot of leadership experience. And looking back, what is one thing that you think that would be very important in the being a leader or in the workspace? What's one thing that you think that the workforce should promote in order to promote equality and equity at the workspace?
Yeah, and I was smiling when Naili was talking about that, and that that opportunity and that example you just gave there. And actually, I've been involved in something called the Girls Network, which is where women in careers are matched to young women in their kind of year 10 and 11 at school, so kind of around 14, 15 age. And I just think it was such a great opportunity. And if I could look back and I'd had that opportunity, then I'd have really flourished from it, I think. And it's an opportunity for me to learn, and I like to think that I'd added value to the young women that I was mentoring, and opened up ideas and opportunities to them and the connections for them. I think it one kind of gave them the permission to know that they're allowed to ask people for help. I think I got to probably the age of 30 before I asked someone to mentor me properly, because I just felt guilty about swallowing up someone important's time. But actually, they said that they get just as much out of it as I did. And actually doing mentoring myself, I know exactly that. So I think it shows, they can just ask and reach out to people, be curious. And, I've introduced them to friends of mine who do different careers so that they can expand their network and their reference and their frame of reference as well. I think organisations have got a big responsibility when it comes to that, in using their networks, and is that, teaming up with early years education to do those sorts of networking at a bit more scale, because I know lots of people that would be interested to do it, and I know that lots of younger women would be interested in taking up people men and women, taking them up on their advice. And I think as well, there's that real responsibility, because a young person's frame of reference, to try and plan out what they want to do with their careers and their lives, isn't enough to just lean on their family for that. It's got, no matter which family you're in, that parameter is a parameter, right? And as a mother of two myself, I can only, I can just identify that I can only suggest opportunities to them or think of interests that they might like from what I know. So I'm really heavily reliant on the education system and on organisations to reach out to younger people and inspire them and actually let them know like what's out there in the wide world that they could be getting involved in, and feed that curiosity.
Oh, I love that. I think mentorship is a very great point. I think mentorship is very great for anyone just entering into the workspace, into the work industry, into the labor market. And, in getting into the labor market, you don't have an idea of what you're doing, or you don't know who to speak with, whether how to negotiate a salary, how to ask for a raise, how to, ask for a promotion, or even how to, experience career growth in your journey. And I think having a mentor is like having a cheat code. I remember someone once said that having a mentor is like having a cheat code. So when you have a mentor, it's someone that you can just easily, commit, okay, I'm experiencing this. How can you advise me on what should I do as regards this, and how can I do it? So I think mentorship is a really good idea for the workspace to incorporate in order to, drive and promote gender equality and equity. And also, I'm going to ask you, Rachael, how do you think the workspace can ensure that there is equality, equal opportunity for advancement and leadership role in organizations? Did you get that?
I did. I'm just having a think. Well, I think, I work for a large organisation, and I like to think that we look at equality really quite broadly across individuals. Really, it's much broader than male versus female, and we celebrate that equality amongst gender neutral trans colleagues as well, and where I've seen some really beautiful examples is where actually we've not only we've celebrated their mindset, and actually you recognise that the personal journey perhaps sometimes that they've been through is kind of what they can bring to the table at work as well. It's a real some people have been on a real journey, and I think being able to let them everyone identify their own strengths outside of work and how to bring them into work is a nice one. We've had some programs before where it's been a kind of a bit of a skills share of we need someone that can do something in Photoshop, or we need someone that's able to code something, and actually you kind of find that there are people in roles that you wouldn't have thought would have those skills, but because it's a hobby outside of work, you kind of bring those in, and it helps people network, understand their talents, and keep bringing them to the table. So I think there's a lot that businesses can do, but it's about, I think, coming back to Nelly's point, opening the doors for them to be able to use those skills a lot of the time.
Okay, thank you. Nelly, is there anyone you would like to add?
I think I love the examples that Rachael just shared. I think this is, and I love the program that they are running, because this is really, really that. How can you create an environment where it's easy for people, whatever level of seniority part of the hierarchy, they can actually meet and start to get to know each other. That's a really great step. The more it's easier for people to have a chat with someone a few years ahead of them, and the more the organization make it so easy, then it's not up to the person to ask themselves based on whether it's gender or however we define the equality. I think yes, the more programs like that are great for an organization.
I think. Okay.
Oh, sorry, Ola.
Okay,
I was just
I'm
going to
listening.
add another one really about leadership as well, and I think that's one thing again I've observed, particularly over probably just the past 5 years, is leaders being just letting their guard down and being open when they're having not the best day, or showing their more human side as well. And I think a lot of people with particular skill sets, sometimes we've talked about people lacking the confidence, great ideas but just lacking the confidence to communicate them, and if they're having a day when they're just kind of not feeling it, I think that that deteriorates confidence even more sometimes and locks in that talent rather than letting it shine. So I think if leaders can role model that kind of being human, you know, in showing that actually not pretending to be perfect all the time, it unlocks that for people, that kind of reality that actually anyone can get there, anyone can develop a skill and go from being shy Naily to leader boss.
I like that. I think leaders showing that I'm not perfect, I'm not a robot, I am human like you. I make mistakes. Sometimes I have bad days, sometimes I have good days, and it's fine. Everyone can experience anything every day. I think it also makes the people working in that workforce to understand that, okay, if is this person, my manager or my CEO, is showing that he's having a bad day, then it's okay to express that I am having a bad day. It's also okay to express that, I don't think I'm feeling work today, and I don't think I'm actually in the best right state of mind to work. And which also brings me to the next question, because in the educational system, I don't think we're taught enough on how to express ourselves, because the educational system already designs us as you have to be perfect. You have to get 100%. You have to eat the A's. You have to, if you're not eating the A's, you have to eat the B's. So it makes the competition very unnecessary, that I think, in educational force. And I think one of the drivers for this in the educational force is because the teachers are teaching you have to be perfect. You have to, this is how things are done. You learn from textbooks. When you learn from textbooks, you write a test, you write the exams, then you go to the next stage or to the next class. And it gives a linear kind of journey to people's journey. Then they think, their career journey has to be linear. And, they get to the workforce, and because everyone is being treated the same way, everybody is being given the same resource to thrive in the workspace. So it makes it harder for them to speak out loud and say, okay, this doesn't work for me. I think this is what works for me. So and also, I'm thinking, what do you think, how do you think education and the organization can help an individual, especially people in their early year career, to embrace equality, and also while also driving equity within the workforce? So, coming from, their background, the background is telling them you have to learn through textbooks, Okay, the background is telling them you have to learn through textbooks, you have to learn this in a linear way. Then, they're getting into the workforce and it also seems the same way. So what do you think organizations can do in order to, promote equity, in order to achieve equality? I know that we already mentioned mentorship, and also not only organizations, but also the educational systems. How can the school help, these people coming from the educational system, coming into the work environment, coming into the labor market? How can they prepare them to get equity in order to achieve equality in the labor market, in the workforce industry?
Yeah, I think I would say, first of all, organization is to learn to cast a wider net when they need early careers, right? The world is moving a little bit, but there's still this huge emphasis on university degrees. Now, I'm not saying a university degree doesn't have its place, but it's not the only way, right? So, first of all, there is a lot of young people, and look at Rachel's amazing career. At 16, she realized that school, not for me. I want to do something practical. She's went and done it, and where she is today. There's so many young people who, when they make that decision, they sometimes lose a bit of confidence, because when they start applying for jobs later on, there's this huge emphasis on the only way to get there is university and nothing else. And I think that's wrong. And even the word that we use, I dropped off school, means that I left something that is the only way. But then the question we don't, or the opportunity that as a society we don't really reinforce in the younger people is, okay, what would you want to do next and how can we help? And I believe things like apprenticeships is huge. I also nearly left school because when I went to the career services and I asked, what should I do, right? I moved from another country and I always loved maths and physics and things like that, but I didn't know my options. They said, go and do business. Nobody sat down with me to even understand who I was at the time and whether business will be good. And after 1 month, I told my mom, I cannot just go into a room and people are talking to me. And to cut a very long story short, I stumbled into software engineering and software development by mistake because I met this random woman who told me about it. I bought a book and I thought, oh, I can read a bit. I practice. That's how I got into software. And that's when I studied my HND and eventually went to uni. Yet yet now there are even more things. Some people might want to have a more practical way in. So how do we help organizations create more apprenticeships to help the people who want to first have a taste at I can feel what I'm doing. Now I might want to study more if I want to. Maybe you won't even need to because you're already learning from work. And I think that change in one mindset will help the younger generation to know that there are as many different paths. If one way is not yours, it doesn't mean that your life is over or it's going to be more difficult than the other ones. And of course, organization, how can they provide apprenticeships? How can parents find out more about that? Which of course will lead to younger people having more choices that will then improve the equality and equity for everybody.
Oh, I think I love the idea of apprenticeship. And I think one of the things that I really love about apprenticeship, internship is it just helps you learn, is this what I really want to do? Is this what I am interested in? Like now you're coming into marketing, you are, learning, you first get your first role as an intern or as an apprentice, working in an organization. Then you're learning, okay, is this what I really want to do? I remember I was working as a digital marketer with an organization, and I had an intern working with me. Then I got to realize that marketing is not even what she wants because, when we're rubbing minds, we're trying to, get ideas, she's totally lost. Sometimes I would send her resources and, she'll go through it. She'll be like, Jumoke, I don't think I like this thing. And one day it was just both of us in the room and I asked her, what do you think you're interested in? Because prior to that, I told her, I learned software engineering. That is what is, that's what is in vogue. And she let me know that, okay, I think I like project management because she's been learning with someone in her house. I'm like, okay, you like project management. You should go for it. Take courses and try internship to be sure that this is what you like. This is what you really want to, pursue as a career. So I think, having someone to guide the younger ones is very, very important in choosing their career path. There are a lot of older people now, just switching careers at age 40, at age 30. They didn't get to enjoy that opportunity. And one thing I'm happy about this upcoming generation is they have a lot of people who are, willing to, lend hands and say, okay, I can help you through this. I can guide you through this. Is this really what you want? Okay, these are the resources that can help you. And these are, this internship or apprenticeship you can apply to be sure that this is really the career path you want to, pursue. I really like, the mentorship path, and I think it's a really great idea for, the educational system and also, parents to be involved in their children's, career path, helping them get access to opportunities like internship, apprenticeship at early stage in order to determine the kind of career they want to pursue later on in their life. So, Rachel, is there any point you would love to add to this? Because I know that you have really great ideas.
No, I'm just smiling as you're both talking because that's completely what I think it needs to be is giving people access to try, because they're making really big decisions about paying for university degrees, spending years of their lives on something that sometimes they're making that decision well out of context. We did a week's worth of career experience by the time we'd finished secondary school at the age of 16, and that's nothing, is it really? And actually, out of my teenage jobs and that one week, two things that I'd perhaps considered as a teenager was, would I like to work in retail? There was a fly on the wall program about a big London department store, and I used to watch it and think, yeah, I'm going to be like a big retail manager. Did a week's work experience, and I realised I don't want to work in retail. I just like shopping, and likewise, I did a Saturday job working in a hairdresser's. No, I like having my hair done. Don't want to be a hairdresser. And without those kind of, dipping my toe in and getting a bit of experience, I could have well pursued careers in either of those areas, thinking that that's where I would want to be, and have wasted quite a lot of my time.
I really agree with that, because I remember having a conversation with a few of my friends, and I told them, because in university I used to make cake, and a lot of people think I was going to have a big cake empire. And when I tell people now, I let them understand that my university was my learning days. It was for me to figure out what I really liked. And I found that when I was, baking the cake, I was selling a lot. I started reading a lot of books on business. I started reading a lot of books on marketing. I started reading a lot of books on, everything that relates to business and running a business. And I got to understand that I think I like this marketing thing. And, I write a lot of time. I knew, I started working as a social media manager, and I was even more in, okay, what tools are necessary for, these, for running ads, what things of marketing. I would, share my ideas with the press, and by the time I'm interested, I was going to, wake up at night to read on marketing, to understand tools, what tools will make you, social media scheduling tools. I was looking for that, and I was so interested. So for me, I think, helping this upcoming generation, helping people in their early year career, test the waters, let them see, is this what I really want? And when they test the waters, they're able to decide if this is what they want, or maybe they just need to, keep testing until whenever that this is what I want, they find what they really want. And I really think nobody comes late to the labor market. Whenever you're ready, they say in Nigeria, there's no late comer when it comes to success, right? There's nothing to do. That is when, you begin your journey, and nobody is, like they say, late comer. So when you come is when your success begins. So you're not in any competition with anybody. So, looking back at it, the only thing I would have loved though, I think, my career journey, I don't think there's anything I would change, or, reversing the clock. I don't think there's anything I would like to change as regards to my career journey. The only thing that I would think, okay, this is what I would have desired, is if I'd had like a mentor thing, and what do you think, which career path do you think I should pursue when I was in my final year? And I talked to that person, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm interested in this. I think I would have been able to, put in more fire after my 400 level, and, go on faster than I am at the moment. So, for me, I'm okay. I'm fine with my career journey, and I would have loved mentorship. What's that one thing you would change, or you would change about your career journey? Or what's that thing that you think has impacted your career journey?
Similar to you, Ola, I think if I could go back and speak to my younger self and tell her to do something differently, I think it would just be what I've said earlier. Just don't feel guilty about asking other people for help. Like, I just always felt a bit guilty into using other people's time, and actually people do want to help. They love giving back, and they get as much out of it as you do. So do ask. And I would have, spoken to, my friends' parents, and asked them more about their jobs, and it was a bit like, don't talk to my friends' parents because, we're kids and they're grown-ups and we're not supposed to talk to them. But I would have if I could go back and learn a bit more. And then I think I'd also just say just to dream a bit bigger. I didn't really think that my opportunities and my upbringing gave me the springboard to get into, particular careers. And I think now I'd go back and say, no, there's not. There's people that have made such transformational and transitional journeys in their lives, in their careers. Like it's anything's possible really for anyone if they're passionate about it, right? So yeah, I would think I would say that.
Yeah, I love that. Don't be scared to ask for help. Don't be scared to, chip in into somebody's time if they are not complaining. And don't just imagine in your head that, well, because I'm asking for this person's help, I'm disturbing them. Sometimes I used to think like that. I don't want to ask for this help because I don't like stressing people. But I've got to understand that if the person is not saying that you're disturbing me, so why are you imagining or why are you assuming that you're disturbing the person? And also I think the second point you made, dreaming bigger, because if you don't dream bigger, if you keep if you're keeping your dreams small, I don't think you're going to gather enough resources in order to grow. So it's just like for someone who is saying, I want to become a software engineer tomorrow, and the person is learning or is just an apprenticeship, and the person, you're not dreaming to be a senior software leading a big team. I think by the time you become the software engineer, you're like, okay, I've gotten to where I am, so it's time to relax. Yeah. It's time to just relax and flex. But the more you dream, the more you're able to pursue your career goals. The more you get enough resources, the more you're able to get resources in order to pursue what you want. And I think for my last question, what is that one pledge you would like to make in order to embrace equality and equity, whether at home or your workplace or anywhere?
So I think I'm quite lucky. I always generally look at most situations and most people from a really positive view, and I kind of take everyone as coming from a place of really good intent. So I think from that aspect, I think I'm open to lots of opinions, but there is definitely still more I can be doing to understand other people's perspectives, I think. So I recently have been exposed to more knowledge around neurodiversity. And there was one exercise that we did actually amongst a few of us, which was we were all asked to draw an elephant in our heads. And then after a few minutes, we'd all draw an elephant in our heads. And then a few of us went round and go, what does your elephant look like? And the elephants varied from being a very detailed elephant, stood in front of a lush jungle in Sri Lanka, to Dumbo, to, my very petty just line drawing of an elephant like the 2-year-old had done. And it just kind of really opened up our eyes to everybody's got very different views in their heads. So perhaps if you're in a meeting or you're having a conversation with people, you kind of assume that everybody's seeing the same thing you are, but they're not. So actually taking that time to learn about other people's elephants, what they looked like, and how you can kind of use what they've got to enhance your own version, because sometimes you think what you've got in your head is the answer, but actually if I'd have put in Sri Lanka elephant or Dumbo, it was much better than mine. So just being really open to other people's perspectives a bit more.
Oh, I think I really love your analogy. Is you actually think everyone has the same elephant you drew in their head, which is wrong. Which is wrong because coming from someone that cannot draw, I can't even draw a circle to save my life. So then imagine the kind of elephants I would have drawn in my egg. And I'm thinking, okay, this is the same thing everyone has drawn. So it just only makes sense for someone like me who cannot draw to, learn from other people. What have you drawn? How do you think I can make things better? And I think that makes a lot of sense. For me, what would I be, contributing? How would I be contributing to equality and equity, because I'm still growing in my career and I'm still growing in my career. I think for me is to people who are just coming, maybe I have someone that is just trying to learn marketing. I'm always very quick to, give them resources, guide them. And one of the questions I try to, ask them is this really what you want to do? Whether it is at the workspace, and I'm asking, is this really what you want to do? And before I even start investing in myself, I say, okay, try to do this and try to read this. Do you think you're interested? So for me, I like to, let people test themselves. Let people have a taste of what you are currently doing. Let them have a taste of it, whether it is even a pinch, whether it is you want to come into marketing, fine. Try to read this thing. Did you enjoy it? Did you like it? Whether it is at home, oh, you want to do this, you want to, you want to get here where everyone is. Do you like this? Are you enjoying this? Then before we then start providing the resources, the necessary resources that you need in order for you to get to where others are. So for me, it's just allowing people to, have a taste of what they want. And when they see it is what they want, and fine, we're ready to provide the equity for you, the resources in order to be equal with others. So Nelly, is it still recording or it just stopped?
I'm back on. Yeah, I'm back
It's
on
still
now.
recording. Okay, so what do you think? How do you think you would be promoting equality with equity?
For me, actually, one thing that, in addition to a lot of things that Rachel said already, which was quite nice to see what's happening on our space and yours, one of the things that I am very keen on is to kind of turn the table and empower people. I think as an organization, there's a lot of things that we can do for sure in terms of how we hire, how we make sure that people feel supported, they feel heard, how we're providing opportunities, mentorship, and all of that kind of things. But one thing I'm really keen on taking, and again, it could be selfishly because of our own personalities, like Rachel was saying about the elephants, right? So everybody will join at the elephant differently. And for me, because I've always been an action-oriented person, and I always try to get people to really get above the bump as well and go and face what is scary for them. Equality and equity come from the environment, yes, but it also comes from you being able to shut down the negative voice that we hear a lot about the lack of opportunities, because those negative voices sometimes stop us from even going out and looking in the first place. You assume that you're not going to get something, no, maybe because I'm a woman. Oh, this thing happened to another woman somewhere else, which means that it's going to happen to absolutely every woman. This thing happened because, oh, I'm like a transgender. I won't be accepted in this community. But you actually didn't get there or get into that job. And of course, I'm not saying that the world is perfect. I'm saying that as a person, whenever I work with people and really try to push, I try to empower them to take control of their own minds. And you have no control of what happens out there, but every little steps that you do gives you more opportunities. The more action that you put out there, the more people see you, you will attract the kind of positivity and the people that will help you move forwards. Despite being a young woman in the tech world, huge part of my careers have come from other people just popping up randomly. When I was at a networking event where I was still shy and didn't want to speak, they says, okay, you stay with me. I will introduce you to other people. Then I learned to do that. And now when I go somewhere else, I say that to other people, right? Other younger people. Or whether it is I starting my business and I'm like, oh my God, marketing. You guys love marketing, but God, this is so hard. But I now have a mentor that says, fine, what do you need? How can I help, right? But at the end of the day, it still went from me having to push myself. And I know through my own transformation and my own journey how scary it is to take the first step, especially when you look at the world outside and says, wow, glass ceiling. There's this issue for this, there's this issue for that. Believe in yourself, believe that you have value, and believe in what we talked about learning. How much are you prepared to pay to get the career and the life that you want? Pay the price, do the learning, do the work, and believe in the fact that the right people will come forward and that will help you to push through the negativity that might be stopping you going forward.
Oh, I think that is very, very great. I can see Rachel. Rachel is shaking her head and like, I think I like that. I think
I'm loving that.
yeah.
Do you know, I'm gonna absolutely blast through the rest of my day now after Naily has just
Thank you.
fired me up.
Yeah, see, I think Rachel, Naily has also fired me up. Put yourself out there. Don't dream small, dream big, and keep doing what you're doing, and the right people find you, the right people will see you. I think that makes a lot of sense. So in order to wrap this up, one thing I understand is for organizations putting out, the leaders in the organization, in the workforce, helping the younger ones, helping the interns, the apprentices, helping the people who haven't find their voice, to giving them mentorship, counseling, in order to help their career growth, in order to help them find their feet in the organization, is one of the ways to promote equity and equality in the workspace. And I also learned, and I also like that, in order to promote equity and equality for yourself as a woman. Don't just think because I am a woman, I should get this role. You have to, put in a lot of learning. Like Naily said, put in a lot of learning. You have to, how much are you willing to invest in your learning? How long are you willing to stay up at night to learn a certain skill, a certain course, in order to grow your career? And I think that really makes sense. Learning is a really great point. And I'm also happy that Rachel made mention of dreaming big as a woman. Don't just think, okay, when I become a software engineer, that is all. There's so much you can become. You can become senior software engineer. You can become the VP of engineering. There's so much you can become. You can lead a team, and also understanding that leadership is not just for men and women. There are women in leadership. We have Naily, we have Rachael in leadership, leading teams and making things happen in their workforce. And also the International Women's Day, embracing the theme of the year, embracing equality and embracing equity in the workspace, is one of the ways to help employees, especially women, grow and find their feet in their organization. And I also like that Rachael made mention of, don't just think that you're interrupting somebody's time. Don't just think you are stressing somebody because you are asking for help. Ask for it until they say, I think you are interrupting into my time. I think you are eating into my time, and I'm unwilling to provide this help. Then you back out. But the moment they don't say you're eating into my time, I don't think I can provide this mentorship or this counseling to you, then it's fine. If they haven't said that, then be willing to ask for help. And like one thing they used to say, the person asking for help, you would never die if you ask for help. The highest you can get is no. The highest you can get is no. So when you ask one person and they say no, when you ask and you keep asking and you keep asking, somebody is going to tell you yes. But immediately say, I think this person is busy because they are the head of marketing. I don't think this because they are Yes, and personally for me, I've learned senior software engineer for their company. I think that's the moment you have automatically given yourself a no. I've learned a lot. I've learned, dream big, don't be scared to ask for help, keep for the question you are trying to ask. So yes, I think I enjoyed this session with you guys. So much I've learned, and I really appreciate you guys. It's been an exciting, session for us. And I think it's almost an hour. Wow, how time flies. So thank you. So is there anything you guys want to say before I end this call? and everybody is back to their day. So I'm looking forward to that.
No, just thank you both. I'm very lucky to work with you both. Very,
Thank
very
you.
inspirational
Yeah,
women.
likewise. And it was great to also discover both of your backgrounds as well. Thanks for having me on board.